Conrad Askland is a musical director, conductor, and composer whose credits include touring with Grammy winner Freddie Fender and creating the musical Pray the Gay Away, which explores the topic of gay conversion therapy. And Conrad is on the line with us here just now. How are you today?
Very good, thank you.
Now, this musical that you've written, Pray the Gay Away, tackles the controversial topic of gay conversion therapy. So, what was it that inspired you to write a musical on this topic?
This was back in 2015. I was working as music director out of New York for the show Rock of Ages. And after one of the shows, I overheard one of the performers mentioning he had gone through gay conversion therapy and that when he was like 15, 16, his parents had put him through it and that he tried to commit suicide. And I thought, wow, what? I didn't know anything about it. And so
Yeah.
I asked him, tell me about this. And it was so interesting. I went and ordered some books, but not books against gay conversion therapy. I ordered books supporting gay conversion therapy because I thought, why would people do this?
Yeah.
And I was about 30 pages into the first book, and I was like, oh my God, I have got to put this on stage, partly because back in 2015, the political climate in the United States was starting to change,
Yeah.
and still changing today, obviously.
Oh, yes.
And when I read about the electroshock therapy segment, I thought, I've got to put this on stage so the faith community can see this, because I don't think people really realize what's involved with this. So
Yeah.
it was those multiple kind of forces.
And I take it in the musical there would be characters who are supportive of gay conversion therapy. So did those books sort of help you build those characters?
Yes. So the books in support helped me understand why people were supporting this. A lot, actually, the bulk of the people that are put into gay conversion therapy, it comes from the faith community. And when I say that, I mean churches. The
Yeah.
majority of adolescents that are put in gay conversion therapy are from church communities in the United States and abroad. And so I wanted to find a church. The musical takes place in the early 1980s. I wanted to find a church that supported the therapy in the 80s, but also supported it today. And when I say today, I mean as of 2017, when I was
Yeah.
actively writing it. So I chose the Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod, because I was raised Lutheran, a different branch of the Lutheran Church. So even though the musical is set in the past, it's very much relevant today.
Yeah. Now, how did you approach blending the sort of humour and the drama with, I guess, the quite serious subject and I guess perhaps the important message that you wanted to show?
Yeah, that was the most difficult part. That's interesting that you picked up on that. Maybe from the graphics, that there is humor, but it is a serious subject.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time deciding, what the show was going to be. It has serious subject matter. I wanted that in there, obviously, but I didn't want it to be a documentary
Yeah.
because the purpose of a documentary is very different from musical theater. Musical theater is entertainment. So how do you do, I mean, the word entertainment sounds gross when you're putting it with a serious subject like this.
Yeah.
So my idea was, because the purpose was to bring awareness of gay conversion therapy, I wanted the show to appeal to a general audience. So the general idea of it was to bill it as a musical theater show that people would want to see, entertain them, and then through the journey of the musical, deliver the powerful message and give them, the serious message that I wanted to about gay conversion therapy. That was very difficult to do because, as you can imagine, humor, there's a real gray area
Yeah.
where it works and it doesn't. So we did a lot of workshops with LGBTQ support groups. I had a lot of help from PFLAG. That's the
Mm.
Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. They've been around, I think, since the 1970s. And also with church groups to find a humor that worked because,
Yeah.
yeah, that it's very dicey.
It is, because comedy at the best of times can be quite hard to get right, let alone when you're mixing it with a sensitive topic.
Right. And you want to be, the word politically correct. A lot of people say, oh, that's, destroyed
Yeah.
comedy. But yeah, how do you have this humor on a subject that is just not humorous at all? I mean,
Mm.
gay conversion therapy adds a significant percentage to the rates of suicide of adolescents from the
Yeah.
LGBTQ community. So the only way I could do that was, with all these different workshop groups. And of course, the only way you really know is when you put the show in front of a public paying audience,
Mm.
and so we were all very nervous. The show already went on stage. It went on stage in November 2019 in
Mm.
Mount Vernon, Washington, USA, at the historic Lincoln Theater with a run of 10 shows. So, opening night, we didn't know what to expect. I was actually surprised in a way. The audience understood what the show was doing.
Yeah.
They put their arms around and embraced the show. And at the end of the show was a feeling of catharsis with the audience about the journey they had gone through. It sold out. It set records at that theater for attendance. And I received very few complaints,
Mm.
about the humor, which it really surprised me.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I'm doing this interview is to let people know that I'm going to put the complete original production up on my YouTube channel starting Sunday, March 23rd, 2025. And I got to tell you, I'm nervous all over again
Yeah.
about what people are going to say. Are they going to like it? Because we're
Mm.
going to release this worldwide. I don't know. I'm crossing my fingers the message gets across.
Yeah. It's completely understandable because you're releasing it on the internet, which is a world, especially now, where everybody shares their opinion. Even if they've not watched it, they'll have a strong opinion on it. So it must be quite scary. I mean, do you expect any particular backlash or praise, or are you just sort of waiting to see what happens?
Well, praise is certainly not what I'm looking for.
Mm.
Well, I'll tell you something interesting about the original run. So I work as a professional music director,
Yeah.
usually on tours.
Mm.
So when I work locally in Mount Vernon, Washington, we're about an hour north of Seattle. It's an
Mm.
agricultural farming town that loves their churches and they love their theater. When I decided to do it up here with a community theater group, everyone was telling me this town will not accept this musical. This is too hardcore. This is too on the
Mm.
edge. You need to do this in Seattle, LA, New York. And my response was, I know what I'm feeling and I know what I'm thinking. I think other people are thinking and feeling the same thing. They're just not speaking out. Let's take a chance that the community gets it. So basically, they were saying a farming town isn't going to get this. Bring it to an urban area. Well, we
Yeah.
did it. It was this great success. And you know what I hear now when I've asked people to watch it, now that I have a video of it,
Hmm.
they say to me, and this just blows me away. They say, "Well, it worked in a farming town, but this isn't going to work in a major urban area. They're far more sophisticated."
Wow.
So my personal feeling is that people will accept this show.
Hmm.
Now, will they? I don't know. We're putting it up there. It is a community theater performance. This
Yeah.
is not a Broadway crew, and this is the first run. You know, most musicals, when they go on Broadway, they've had many workshops and out of town runs where they have a soft premiere before the official premiere where they let the reviewers in.
Yeah.
This is a homegrown show we did in a farming town by the Canadian border. It's its first run without revisions. What are people going to think? I have no idea. My hope, I there will be some pushback just because of the subject matter.
Yeah.
My hope is that there's someone out there, a producer, a director, a patron of the arts, that's going to see this show and say, "Oh, wow, I can see what this show could be if it was on Broadway with a professional cast, professional orchestration, and some revisions." Which, you know, musicals always have revisions. Musicals are never finished, they're
Yeah.
only abandoned.
Yes. Now, will we be seeing the musical exactly as it was performed in 2019, or have there been like edits or adjustments here and there?
So yeah, to directly answer your question, yes, you'll be
Hmm.
seeing the original musical. Um, I've toyed with doing some edits. There's, you know, a couple scenes here and there that I know that maybe could have worked a little better. I'm
Yeah.
going to put it up as is. The only thing I'm going to edit, there were a couple times where we had to vamp for a while because the scene change took too long.
Yeah.
But no, you're going to see the complete original show, warts and all. And
Hmm.
I was leading the pit. I was playing piano and conducting.
Wow.
So I'm going to be putting myself out there along with the cast.
That's exciting. And you mentioned earlier that it is set in the 80s. Um, does it only cover the topic of conversion therapy, or does it cover other stuff going on at that time? I guess both politically and also there was the sort of HIV and AIDS sort of had just been recently coming out at that time. So does it cover other things as well like that?
You know, your questions blow me away. You haven't seen this show. You're asking these questions like you've seen it. That's a great question. So, my original script for this show, because I did the book, music, and lyrics. The book is the script.
Yeah.
The original script was over 300 pages.
Oh wow.
And, you know, this job of whittling down what are we talking about? There are so many things I decided not to talk about.
Yeah.
I decided not to address AIDS. So our story takes place in the early 1980s, where uh, AIDS had just been started to be reported in the news, but it wasn't even called AIDS yet.
Yeah.
It was called the gay cancer, you know. So we don't address AIDS. Originally, the script took that out. I don't address transgender issues. I just felt like it was too much out of the scope of what I was, you know, trying to say.
Mm.
So we specifically we follow two boys that are put through gay conversion therapy in Minnetonka, Minnesota in the early 1980s. So part of the reason I chose the early 1980s is AIDS was not a topic yet to address.
Mm.
It also gives the audience some distance, even though this just pains me to say that the issues, the topic that the musical talks about are as relevant today as they were in the early 1980s. But we put it in the early 1980s to give people distance. So it's like, oh, we're watching these people from the past. And I put it in Minnetonka, Minnesota. So my background is Lutheran and also Scandinavian.
Mm.
So we use a lot of Scandinavian Minnesota humor, which also kind of helps soften the blow of the serious topics that we deliver as you get further into the musical.
Yeah. And with it being set in the 80s as well, I mean, musically, are the songs sort of, I guess, of that era? Or are they a little bit, I guess, looser than that?
Again, you're blowing me away. So originally, I was looking at doing 1980s style music.
Mm.
Doing, like new wave, British new wave music. Um, it's, there's not really elements of that. I decided not to go there. The music
Yeah.
is straight ahead modern uh, musical theater, partly because, the music gives a different subtext to the lyrics.
Yeah.
For instance, you can have lyrics that sound funny but are delivered serious, or lyrics that sound serious but are delivered in a slightly humorous way.
Yeah.
So by massaging the music, I'm able to really get the delivery that I want. And if I had gone with all 1980s style music, now I'm kind of put in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any plans for more projects after Pray the Gay Away is released, or is that sort of it for now?
Do you mean with Pray the Gay Away?
Well, just other separate projects, unless you do have things that you're still kind
Oh,
of working on within this one.
Oh yeah, so Pray the Gay Away is my fourth full-length original musical. Uh, my second full-length original musical, which is called Pan, it's the Peter Pan story.
Ooh.
That's going to go back on stage for Christmas 2025 in Anacortes, Washington, with the Anacortes Community Theater. And I'm always working on new music projects and releasing music. Last year, I released almost 1,000 new songs online. Um, I currently have over 1.5 billion streams of my music,
Wow.
uh, which allows me the time then to work on these other projects. Now, as far as Pray the Gay Away, so there was in November 2019 when the musical sold out, set these box office records locally, there was a lot of excitement about where it's going to go next.
Yeah.
And I was uh, having meetings and in contact with a lot of very important people within the entertainment and LGBTQ community about the next level. Um, I won't say the names of those companies, but everyone knows them. One of them is located in Burbank,
Mm.
California, the big one. Well, that particular meeting was the beginning of March 2020.
Ooh.
The next week, the world shut down. Well, at least the United
Yeah.
States did. So during the pandemic, all this forward motion stopped. And I haven't been able to get it back. In fact, a lot of people that I contact to watch the video of the show, they refuse to because of the name.
Oh.
And the name Pray the Gay Away is part of what gets people in the door. And by the way, I own the trademark
Oh,
to the
wow.
term Pray the Gay Away, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So my hope by releasing it on my channel is that, again, a director, a producer, a patron of the arts will be moved by the story, and someone will see it, this story brought to a wider audience.
Absolutely. Well, in the meantime, it's the 23rd of March, isn't it, that you're planning to release this on your channel. So where will we be? Like, what will the channel be that it's on? And also,
So
where
it,
can we sort of keep up to date with you and everything you're working on?
okay, so it'll be on my YouTube channel, Conrad Askland, and it will premiere at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, on Sunday, March 23rd. It will stay up after that so that people can watch it. I will have my email contact in the description of that video, or if people Google my name, Conrad Askland, they can go to my website and contact me. So everyone can watch this musical. There's one thing I hope.
Yeah.
In the original theatrical run, once people were there, we had very few people walk out, maybe one or two a show, which is normal for a
Yeah.
new musical. People didn't know where the story was going. Is it pro conversion therapy? Is it anti? So there was this dis an uncomfortable journey for the audience. Well, when you watch it on YouTube, it's real easy to pause, go have a
Yeah.
snack. I hope when people watch it, even when it gets uncomfortable, that they watch it all the way through to have that theatrical experience.
Absolutely. Well, many thanks for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing the musical when it's out next week.
Great. Thank you very much.